Hey everybody, Justin here with EBR, and today we're going to be reviewing the Lectric XP Lite 2.0. This is Lectric's most affordable e-bike, coming in at just $799 starting MSRP. Our model has a slight upgrade, so it's $899. It's not a lot compared to some of the other e-bikes on the market. And kind of the question is, can you build a good e-bike at that price range? Let's go through the review and I'll let you know what I think. Okay, so again, this is the Lectric XP Lite 2.0, starting price $799. We have an upgraded Carbon Gates belt drive that pushes that up $100 to $899. And again, it's Lectric's kind of least expensive bike in their lineup. It's a Class 2 e-bike. It comes on only one size. And I'll kind of walk through kind of the bike and again, my general thoughts. The weight on this, again, XP Lite, so that's kind of one of the highlights. It's only 47.7-ish pounds. Is that what we got with the battery? Without, you lose about 5 pounds, drops it down to 42.5. It's an aluminum frame, 275-pound max payload capacity, so that's rider and gear. The step over height here, you come down, it's a pretty low step over height. It's 24 inches, so it's really approachable and easy to get on and off. And I think that's one of the reasons why you see so many people that haven't ridden bikes in a while. They might have some mobility issues that kind of like this bike. And it's supposed to fit riders between 4'8" and 6'2". There's two different adjustments. You have the seat post adjustment, which goes down to 32 inches from the ground, up to 42 inches. I've got it at its max height right now. And then up front, you do have, I want to say it's probably about a 2.5 inch adjustment here. You can raise and lower those handlebars. So it is fairly ergonomic for its size. Do I think 4'8", 6 to 6'2"? Yeah, I actually had somebody from the office who's 6'5" sit on it. And they're used to things being smaller than they should be for them, but they did feel fairly comfortable. And I would also say a 4'8" rider would be good. The sizing's actually not bad for like a teenager that wants a bike, again, that's Class 2, that has the ability to ride an e-bike. It does fit nice for them given its lightweight and kind of that smaller compact frame. The reach is right about 19 to 20.5 inches, kind of depending on where you've got that height on the handlebars there. And the wheelbase is a 43-inch wheelbase, so it's a fairly compact bike. And it's, again, pretty fun to ride with how small and compact it is. You do notice it's got 20-inch tires here, so 20-inch by 2.5-inch tires, and they are more slick tires, again, more kind of a little more for city riding, but you do have some grooves there, so it's not horrible off-road, but they're not knobby, as you can tell, both the front and the rear. Show you that. You have a front headlight and reflector here. Again, this headlight is definitely more to be seen than to see yourself. So if you're riding at night, you're definitely going to want to have a different light. There are not turn signals on this, but you do have a rear reflector. So again, you can kind of be seen at night when you are riding. So overall, so I try to give you kind of good view here. It's just a nice, compact bike, and I think the name, the XP Lite, is just very fitting for what this bike does. Let's dive into the heart and the soul of the XP Lite 2.0. It is a lighter-powered bike. Again, I think that kind of fitting for the name. It's a 300-watt rear hub motor, and but the max wattage is actually 819 watts of peak. The torque is 28 newton meters of torque, and it does have Lectric's PWR, their pedal assist wattage regulation system. Now, so kind of what that means with that the PWR, pedal assist wattage regulation with the motor, is a lot of times you'll have either a torque sensor or a cadence sensor. Torque sensor is as you're really pushing down on these pedals, it'll multiply how many watts you're putting down here through the motor, and the drivetrain. So that's a torque sensor. Lectric is not fond of torque sensors, at least so far. They want it to be kind of they want it to be a natural riding feel, but not one where you feel like you're having to sweat to get to the office. They're more on the fun side versus the workout side of things. And that's kind of where the heart of the PWR system comes from. So it's not a torque, and it's not necessarily a pure cadence sensor. Pure cadence sensor, it'll just base, however fast you're rotating it, it'll give output according to whatever assist level you're in, and kind of cap your speed, but potentially give you full power. So if it's a 819 max watt motor, then it's going to give you 819 watts at PS1, PS2, PS3. And sometimes that feels a little bit overpowered and unnatural. So Lectric is trying to make a motor that has kind of what they would consider the best of both worlds. Again, if you're on the fun side, not on the I want to work out side of things, where it still feels a little natural, but it's not a torque sensor. So what they've done is, instead of giving it a max power wattage output at each assist level, they reduce the amount of amps coming from the controller to the motor, which reduces the wattage at each assist level. So PS1 is going to get less wattage output than PS2, than PS3, 4, 5, etc. And so that output does just make it feel a little bit more natural. And when I jump on and take you for a ride, I'll kind of give you my thoughts on how I think they did on this bike. Now going back to the battery, which you cannot see because it's hidden there in that, call it top tube. There's two different options here. They're both 48 volts. One is a 7.8 amp hour and one's a 14 amp hour. So this one is the standard 7.8 amp hour, which gives you about 374 watt hours. The larger 14 amp hour is 672 watt hours. So Lectric claims that you get between 45 miles on the smaller battery up to 80 miles on the larger. And I would say that might be a little bit more than what I think you'd get. When they did the range test over at Electric Bike Report, they got between 18 and 37 miles, again on the smaller battery. So you get a good range on it, but if that is something that you want a little more range, I would recommend upgrading to that 14 amp hour battery. That's probably an upgrade that I'm just going to recommend in general. You just don't have to charge it as much. I don't think you need it for the range. You need it for the laziness, because let's be honest, we forget to charge our bikes a lot. And at $100 to upgrade, I do think it's worth it to get that extra range. So just overall, in terms of the battery, the motor, I think they did a pretty good job. Again, we'll dive more into it on our kind of ride testing as I walk you through how the bike feels. Next up, the components. And this is one where Lectric, they've made some upgrades here to this bike that I did not expect to see in a bike that's below $1,000. So first up, and the thing that stands out kind of the most here when we talk about the drivetrain, is this is a Carbon Gates belt drive version. So it's a $100 upgrade from that $799, so you're at $899 with that. And if you want to add the larger battery, that's another $100, right? So for $899, you get this Carbon Gates belt drive, which is really maintenance free. The front chain ring is a 70 tooth and the rear is a 22. So a little different gear ratio than the chain model. I've been testing them and I can't tell much of a difference between the two. We'll kind of update things as I go. But so far they feel about the same in terms of pedaling uphill and on flats, but they're just a little bit different. And the main difference is that Carbon Gates belt drive. You notice here, you don't have grease. So I can't tell you how many pairs of shorts, how many pairs of pants I've ruined with this job because I get grease on me. This is very maintenance free and it's going to last a long time. So I think that's really cool that they did this at $899. Moving on from that, the brakes, they are 180 mil rotors in the rear and in the front. And they are dual piston hydraulic brakes, which again at this price point is pretty impressive to have hydraulic disc brakes. So definitely kudos to them for that. I'm a really big fan of them doing that with the brakes. Moving back down here, it does have a kickstand, you'll notice. And I like the fact that I can move the pedals without hitting the kickstand, just makes it a little bit easier to move around. The frame is an aluminum frame, and I really do like this part right here. Just makes it easy to kind of carry around. I think this is a bike that's a decent, like really good bike for just kind of, you know, if you want to kind of ride around town, carry it up an apartment, load it in your car, etc. So that carbon gauge belt drive, not getting grease on you, nice handle to carry things, fold it up, just makes it really nice there. Moving forward, I already talked about the headlight, but you'll notice it is a rigid fork. And on those 2.5-inch tires, so it's not going to be super plush and bouncy while you ride, but I didn't mind it, not for this style of bike. So I don't have a problem with that at all. You have mounting points here in the front. You have a mounting point in this tube, so you can put like a water bottle. It will reduce your step over height if you want, or some other accessories there. The saddle is kind of Lectric standard saddle, which I've always liked. Again, each butt's very personal, and mine is not very picky. So that worked well for me. Kind of quick release adjustment down here, which is nice. And then you do have the folding and adjustable stem, which I'll show you that. You just kind of pull this back. See if I can do it one-handed. Oh, there we go. And down. So nice and easy to begin that folding. I'll show you how to fold it in a minute. But this clamp feels very sturdy, and I think they did a good job. Sometimes these feel a little bit wobbly on, you know, these adjustable stems that fold. I don't like, but this one I do. I also really like how they kind of went with the kind of more BMX style handlebars. There's a slight sweep to them, which I find comfortable. And I just like, again, those BMX style riser bars. Just very comfortable for me. I'm a bigger fan of these than just the straight bars actually that you get on the XP 3.0. I like these a lot. So I love how they did that. Up here, you'll notice the cable, called the cable management. Here you can see there's a lot of cables. Obviously, you've got a lot going on with the light, the brakes, the cutoff switches, etc. They put all the connections here in between the wrapping, so you don't have to unwrap anything to get to the connections up here and down here. And I think it's pretty clean. I mean, it's a little bit unwieldy through here, but not bad. And much better than, again, most bikes in this price range. The brake levers, very comfortable actually. And then here's the twist throttle. Again, it's a class 2 e-bike. So that is the twist throttle there. The grips are kind of these rubber grips. They do not lock in place, but these are not, they haven't moved on me yet. A little bit there if I really push hard, but I do find them comfortable. Kind of these little wings here just fit really nice on the palm of my hand. And I like that. You can obviously replace them if you do not like them. Now into the programming. So this is the control button here. So you got the power, you got up and down. So very simple, very easy to use. You just hold it down, turn on. You'll see it's kind of this color display, right? Let's see if I can block this. There you go. And down here, you'll see the different things that you can kind of cycle through. This has your miles, your trip miles, RNG, the VOL, which is your voltage, and your current. RNG would be range. So I'm not going anywhere, so it's not going to give me range. Up here, obviously, you're going to get your speed and what assist level, and then you've got the battery levels, which the 10 bars there. It's not, and also the wattage readout, sorry. So it's not a percentage readout, which I like. But it's a nice, clear, crisp display that's easy to see, even in the bright lights. And it feels nicer than what this bike is in terms of price. The only thing that I would say is I'm kind of surprised that Lectric has not gone with an app. Like, they could totally build an app, integrate it into all their bikes. I have not heard anything. This is just my speculation, but I would be speculating that they're going to be working on an app. Just makes a lot of sense to me. So yeah, that's the bike, that's the overview. The only other thing that I will mention is this is UL certified both for the system and the battery. So at that price range, to get a UL certified bike, hydraulic disc brakes, you know, good geometry, kind of like good, you know, again, it's the XP Lite, easy to lift, easy to move around, an option like a carbon gates belt drive for low maintenance, just a really good overall value that you kind of we're starting to get very, how do I say this? I'm expecting Lectric to just be very cheap in terms of their cost. Don't know how they do it. You know, sometimes people put on those carbon gate belt drives, but not the Gates brand. This is the Gates brand. The brakes are not labeled a brand, but they're hydraulic brakes. You can take them and get them serviced. So just good quality components, good price, really a lot better than what I thought that they'd be able to come out with. Oh, one other thing that I would mention that I don't like, and I don't know why they do this, but they do it. You have to have the key in. So we label all the bikes, so you don't have to have this dangly part, right? But you have to have the key in to operate it, which is fine. It doesn't get in the way. We've never lost one. I do wish that they would make it to where I could take the key out and not have to worry about that, because I tend to forget it when I go into store. Somebody in theory could come by, snag the key, walk away with it, which would not be fun. But again, overall, there's really not much that I don't love about this bike, especially at that price range. So really well done, Lectric, on that. All right, it is time to ride. I'm gonna go take you on a spin on the XP Lite 2.0 and try to just kind of walk you through my thoughts of the bike, how I think it handles, how I think it does in what I'll call its natural environment. I'm not gonna take this one off-road because it doesn't have the suspension. And I'm gonna take it through some of the neighboring streets and give you an idea, again, how this feels if you take this out for a spin. So let's go ride. All right, so I know I said I wasn't gonna take this off-road, but it's kind of this, I think there are a lot of people that actually wanna buy these bikes to put in their RV or trailer, throw it in the back of a truck, back of a car, and kind of take it camping. And so I'll just kind of show you what it's like to ride, you know, on something like a dirt road like this. And it handles fine. Again, you can't air down the tires very much for improved traction, but 2.5 inches is still fairly wide, and you don't have suspension, so it's going to be a little bumpy like this, but you can handle it. It'll be okay. Not its ideal, you know, riding area. You probably noticed it was kind of, I mean, GoPros kind of hide some of the bouncing, but it doesn't do bad. So yes, you can take it for some of that. It's just not going to be as comfortable. If that's really what you want to ride on, go with like the XP 3.0, and you'll do better. This is kind of where this bike, you know, it's just fantastic. So we're just going to kind of do a cruise here on the bike path. So I'm in PS1 right now, and it's kind of wanting me, you know, to go about 12 miles per hour on that with their PWR system. As I increase it, so I'm going to go from 1 to 2, I'm able to pick up speed a little bit. I will say, as I'm pedaling, I don't get full leg extension. I'm 5'11", and this is definitely more relaxed. You know, I don't have to have full leg extension. It's fine, but just note that if you're someone that'll drive you nuts, then this bike's probably not going to be the one that you're going to want. So I'm headed into the wind, going about 15, 16 in PS2. Let's kick it to 3. And I hit about 17, 18 miles per hour. I'm going to slow down a little bit so the wind doesn't kind of get in the way too much. But that's where I start to feel like there's a little bit of a ghost pedal once I hit 17, 18 miles per hour. With a single gear, and you know, you don't have additional gears to switch into. They have to balance between hill climbing and going on flats, and that's what I'm finding kind of that trade-off is right around 17, 18 miles per hour is where you start to ghost pedal just slightly. But it feels very peppy, very sporty and fun. And on 3, now we go to 4, 18 miles an hour, 5, 19, 20. And so it's really easy to get up to 20 miles per hour. I'll turn around here in a second and just do a speed test to see how long it takes. But overall, really like the sporty feel to it, how you know, it's a very nimble bike because it is a little bit lighter weight than a lot of e-bikes. Smaller frame. It's just fun to kind of zip in and around things. We'll get down to the bottom, then we'll turn around and do kind of that, like I said, that speed test here. So from a standstill, I'm just going to do a throttle and see if we can get up, you know, how long it takes to get up to 20 on this. So 2, 3, 7, 8, 10 miles an hour, 13, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20. So not very long to get up to 20. Again, nice peppy, kind of sporty feel on the bike. And I'm actually, I will say, I'm surprised at how firm it feels with this frame, given that it's a folding bike. A lot of times those don't feel super confidence inspiring. I like the feel of this frame. You really don't have anything on the bike that feels cheap, right? Like tons of people will ask, hey, what's the cheapest bike that's good? This is going to be up there at just $799. You know, you've got decent brakes, good stopping power on those, twist throttle, which I generally like the thumb throttle a little more, but twist throttles, you can modulate your speed. You know, you can keep it right at 10, get up to 20, and it is a little less taxing on your thumb for that, which is nice. Again, good constructed frame, decent power. It's not going to be hill charger. You know, I did the hill test on it. It did better than I thought it would be, than I thought it would do. But again, it's not the most powerful. It's 300 watts is all in the rear hub. But for that price, again, I'm trying to find something that feels quote unquote cheap, and there's just not much that I feel fits that category. It just really feels very well built, valuable, you know, kind of value side bike. Okay, so if you're gonna kind of, you know, commute right around town with this bike, how does it do? Again, it's very quick to get up to speed, which is nice. It is only a class 2, so just be aware of that if you're, you know, on roads, busy streets, etc. If you don't feel comfortable, try to find a sidewalk or something to ride on. Again, good quality brakes, no turn signals, so you got to make sure you use your hands anyways, and tell people what you're doing. Definitely a comfortable bike. You can get a rack. I don't have details on the rack, sorry. They haven't launched this fully yet. They launch it later. And so you definitely put some groceries on, take it to the store, and just zip around the neighborhood. Tons of fun. The one thing that I will say with the gearing and the assist levels, I find myself riding this a lot in PS 1 and 2. 1 feels really good. 11, 12 miles per hour, just kind of nice and casual. Kicking it up to 2, I can actually get it up to about 15 to 17 miles an hour. And that's where I feel like I actually don't need much more power. And so I find myself using this bike in PAS 2 and 1 the most. That's just kind of what I find. Now if I'm throttling, so I'm on PS 2 and I'm going to throttle. Let's see what it gets us there. So 16, 17, 18, 19. So yeah, it got me up to 20 on throttle, but probably I'm curious to see if I can get to 5, how much if it gets there faster, because it feels more peppy for sure. At 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So that's the other area where I would use, you know, a higher PS level, is if I want to throttle around and go faster and kind of modulate your speed that way. I don't know if Lectric, I mean, if they can make, you know, add an extra sprocket in the back and make this a 2-gear bike, one for climbing hills and one for flats, I think that'd be fantastic. But then you can't do the carbon gates belt drive. So you kind of have that give and take between, you know, this feels good climbing hills, little in the flats, and wants to go 17, 18 miles per hour. I think you could easily get it to 20 plus without any ghost pedaling if you change the gearing, but then you lose a little bit on the hills. So I think they did a good job. A lot of times when we see these single gears, it's actually more like bikes start to ghost pedal at 14, 15 miles per hour. So this is better than average, definitely. And then I also want to just show you one little trick on it with kind of the ghost pedaling. So what I found, I'll come to a stop here. And then this is where I like the throttle, just twist and go to get you started. What I found, so I'm in PS5 and I'm just gonna slowly pedal here. And it's gonna get me up to 20 miles per hour. And I can just slowly keep those cranes turning and it keeps me at 20. I'm over 20 now. The bike actually carries the speed really well. And because it's so light, super easy to get to 20. I don't have to be, I can pedal super fast and ghost pedal, or I can just slowly turn the cranks. Because it is still a cadence-based system, you can still get that output of wattage and get to the speed that you want. And then you don't feel as, you know, the uncomfortableness of kind of ghost pedaling and really turning those cranks super fast. So yeah, as far as riding goes, fast, zippy, kind of sporty, fun, you know, kind of Mario Kart type feel to it, but controlled. So when I pedal and then I stop, a little bit of an overrun there, maybe a half a second or a quarter second, but it's not an extra powerful overrun to where it feels like I'm going to lose control. When I start pedaling, it takes maybe half of a turn on the crank to get it to go. And so that's a little far for you. Just again, hit the twist throttle and go. Overall, really fun to ride around with, very sporty, and just a ton of fun. All right, my favorite part of the review, that is Ben's take. So Ben is our mechanic. He's been turning wrenches forever. If you've watched these, you probably like this segment. So we're going to dive in and see what Ben thought about as he assembled the bike when it came here, as he put it through some, you know, mechanical testing that we've done, just get his general overall thought. Okay, Ben, so tell us kind of what you found on the Lectric XP Lite 2.0.
All right, Justin, I like this one a lot. First things first, how it's shipped in the box, folded, means a smaller box, easier to handle, all that. Came out of the box, great packaging, easy to unwrap, get going on. Mechanically speaking and working on it, there's a thing, the highlights I found on this one are the extra beefy dropouts. They're replaceable too, which is a great idea. With an aluminum frame, you can, if the threads are messed up on this thing, you can just easily replace both sides. The hardware, very tough. This bolt here makes it super easy to adjust the tension of the belt, and on some other bikes, the chain, you just turn this screw in and it moves the wheel back or forward. The way the wheel drops out makes it very easy to get back in without having to retension the belt. That's a big plus for me. Anytime there's a Gates belt drive incorporated onto a bike, I'm a fan every time. So without anything more to mention there, I do like it. The traditional threaded in pedals to the crank arm, I like that because all pedals and pretty much every bike shop will have threaded in pedals. That's a good thing. Sometimes you'll see those on other bikes, sometimes you won't. I really enjoyed using the hinge and the clamp mechanism, very smooth, really robust. Big fat welds that are consistent are also a fan favorite of mine. When you see this, you know the factory quality is going to be top notch. I was also impressed by the gradients on the stem. So as you change it for the height, you don't have to get a tape measure out. You can simply remember 6, 5, 4, and so on. When you unfold the bike, I want to jump back on. I think that's a cool feature. With this bike and the way that it feels overall, I like the rigid fork rather than a suspension fork. I feel like that adds to the strength and the feel overall, how smooth it is in and out of turns. Overall, I really like this little bike.
Was there anything that you do think that they could improve on?
Putting it together was no big deal. The battery slides in and out very easily, but what it seems like, there's extra room in the tube between the batteries, so it tends to jostle around and make some noise a little bit. I found that to be a little disconcerting when you're riding a bike and something feels loose, and as a mechanic especially, because I want to figure out what it is, and that's where I found the play in the battery. So that could be something to work on.
Got it. Yeah, I know they use the battery from the Lectric XP 3.0, so maybe they just need to figure out a shim or something small there to
perfect idea.
Around.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, once again, Ben, thank you.
All right, thanks, Justin.
So how do you fold the XP Lite 2.0? It's actually one of the easier folding e-bikes that I've ever seen. So, I mean, not on like Brompton level, but for this, it's really cool. So right here, first I leave the kickstand up. There's a big latch on the back side here. You just pull up this pin and fold it and release that, and then it'll just come down. I like to make sure that this cable is in front, not behind, because then it just kind of gets caught and stretched there. So just in front, lay that down. There's nothing that kind of holds this together. I would actually recommend getting a bungee and bungeeing that up so it holds tight. Next, lift the kickstand, and then this latch here, you push forward, open it up, and this is where I really like this handlebar, because you can just grab it right here, and then right here, and fold it in half. And that's it. So again, you notice as it swung shut, this part here kind of swung just a little bit. So tie that down and be good. I wish that they would come out with a way with every one of these folders to strap it together. But again, I would just probably use some bungees or something. But that's all you need to do to fold it. And then to lift it up, you know, I don't use this as much when I lift. I tend to grab here on this chainstay and just lift it like that, like the Carbon Gates belt drive, because I'm not getting grease everywhere. You can kind of move it around. Still a little bit heavy, but not bad at all. And then on the bottom here, you'll notice it doesn't sit on this front chainring because of this metal kind of stand right there. So that's nice, protects your front chainring. To put it back together, it's just the opposite. So again, I grab it here, lift it up, and fold this out. Oh, okay, latch that down, put the kickstand down, bring that back up, make sure this is out of the way and you don't pinch it there, clamp it down, and you're ready to roll. So there you have it. That is the Lectric XP Lite 2.0. And kind of, you know, my bottom line thoughts is I would say if you are someone who is looking for a very portable, lightweight, not overpowering, but still sporty and nimble, you know, sporty and nimble e-bike, and looking to spend, you know, only $799, $899, this could very well be your bike. In fact, I can't think off the top of my head another bike with this kind of you know, the specs with the safety, hydraulic disc brakes, UL certified, both system and the battery, Carbon Gates belt drive option, you know, longer range battery option. I don't know of any bike that comes to my mind that's going to be better value, better bang for your buck. So if you're someone on a budget that still wants something fun, great bike. If you're someone that wants something small, portable, compactable, folds really easily to take, you know, with you anywhere, to go ride around, just have a ton of fun, this again could be your pick. So overall, I'm going to give that 2 thumbs up to Lectric. I think they did a really good job with this one. I've always liked the XP Lite, to be honest. It's always been kind of one of my actually more favorite bikes from Lectric. Not just because the price tag, just because the size. For me personally, I find I grab this a lot when my, you know, middle-aged teenagers, you know, 13, 14, 15, that ride bikes that I feel comfortable with them on an e-bike, want to grab this one. They do really like. It's a ton of fun, but it's also one that I can grab, zip down to the grocery store, you know, take on a trip with me and just have a ton of fun. So again, for that price range, $799, and this model's $899, great value, great bang for your buck. So yeah, Lectric XP Lite 2.0. And I hope I covered everything. Hopefully this review is helpful. If I missed something or if you have any additional questions, please leave those in the comments. We do try to get back to those, you know, comments and questions as best as we can. And as always, please like and subscribe to the channel. Ring that bell so you get notification when something new comes up. That really helps us out and just makes it easier for us to keep going and keep, you know, doing these reviews and other educational content. And if there's anything that you would like to see us do differently, please let us know. But other than that, hope you have a great day, and I hope to see you out on the trail soon.